Meesho, the e-commerce app for Bharat, has been killing it. They went from being a failed quick fashion delivery app in 2014 to doing what both Flipkart and Amazon could not: become profitable. That's right, Meesho is India's first profitable horizontal e-commerce player with 3,000 crores in revenue. And that got us curious. So we dug in, and one core thing that stood out is the brand that Meesho has built. It's not just that they got Deepika Padukone or Ram Charan to endorse them. There's so much more that's happening behind the scenes. So we sat down with the man behind the recent brand transformation, Soumitra Choubey, or as we call him at GrowthX, Soumi. Soumi joined GrowthX in 2021 and since then has become the brand head at Meesho. We spoke about the core insights behind Meesho's rebrand, how a Sourav Ganguly tweet blunder was actually a blessing, and why building a brand is the only way to win long term. This is a brand masterclass. Let's dig in.
I know that you folks have rebranded. Do you
Yes.
think the rebrand would have been easier if you were in office, all of you all together?
It took a village to rebrand, frankly, right? Like, I think it's one of the biggest cross-functional pods that we had to set up to make it happen.
Correct.
Right from like problem identification to just executing across 1,000 touch points.
In my mind, with Meesho, maybe I'm not a customer, but like, why rebrand at all?
The way to look at any rebrand is, hey, there is probably some problem to be solved, and there is probably an opportunity area that you can tap into. So the way we started, we were only looking at opportunity that, hey, we have pivoted from a B2B to now a fully horizontal e-commerce platform.
Correct.
And we want to be in everybody's, favorite market, right? So if that's the sort of like broad positioning, how do we bring this positioning to life, right? So we had a few routes there.
Okay.
And then we got into rooms, we huddled, and then nobody could make a decision of sorts.
Was there like a very strong trigger here, or was it like a lot of things that were like, ye karna hoga?
So they were like heuristic signals, right? Ki yaar, our identity was built when we were a social commerce, e-commerce brand, right? So now something needs to change. And then there is this new horizontal e-commerce opportunity that we're gunning after. Our dream is like, our ambition has outdone the brand, so to say, identity. But then we started also taking once this whole subjectivity happened and we were past that phase, we said, let's go back to the drawing board. What is the brief?
What do you think was like that trigger?
When we went back to the drawing board, we made, okay, let's do what we do best. Let's go talk to consumers, right? And let's see, hey, what do they remember Meesho by? So we did like a full unaided sort of research saying, hey, do you know Meesho? If you know Meesho, can you draw it for me? And we kept like sketch pens on the all colors, everything. And we asked them to just draw Meesho.
Very interesting.
And they drew that app icon, either circular or rounded rectangle with pink color. And they put an M on it. They said, okay, this is from their memory. This is what they remember. So these are our sacred assets, right? Like, be very careful with them because this is what awareness is built on. But then we asked, okay, then we started asking qualitative questions. We had a hypothesis, right? The biggest hypothesis was that, hey, since we started like a women's fashion brand, people do have a perception that we are a women's brand.
Interesting.
And we had pink as the dominant color, right? The only color.
Basically, it's like some hypothesis plus exploration where you were in there.
Correct.
And those two kind of like
came together
really well.
Then we really identified, data signal is telling us that males are not shopping with us, not so much.
Is pink really a bad color, by the way?
It's a lovely color. It's a lovely, but look at this, the inside, like so interesting that, now imagine if you're going on a highway, right? Like I'm driving or you're driving and we are both sitting on the front of the car and we are just passing through the highway. And there are just these billboards going by, right? Now, if UD, there is a pink billboard, there is high likelihood that you and me probably won't even look at it.
Interesting.
And this is called something which is a implicit bias, right? And this has been built over time due to the signals that we have gotten that everything that is for girls is pink and everything that's for boys is blue, right? So so we tested, okay, this is the hypothesis, is it really true? And we asked people that, hey, you know what, if you showed this logo especially for Meesho non-users who don't know so much about Meesho. We showed it to them. Is this for men, women, or is it for both? And majority, 2/3 of them said, hey, it's a women brand logo. And we gave them less time. So we got that criteria. So this is what we need to move. This is the perception that we need to move, right? So when we came back with Roots and then we wanted
When you came back,
Yeah.
how did you convince everyone ki rebrand karna hai?
So we identified the problem and then we said, hey, there is a perception level problem.
Correct.
And maybe due to this,
Right.
plus our history of our evolution, that we started with a core PMF consumer and then evolved to a fully horizontal.
How did that conversation go? I can imagine the boardroom and I can imagine that meme where everyone's like, how do we keep growing? How do we keep profitability? One person says, we do X, Y. And the person who says rebrand is thrown out of the window. That meme, have you seen that? Because if you're in a profitable market, like how did that conversation go?
If you have commercial platform data to back the hypothesis, and then there is a perception layer on top, that means that yes, both 2 and 2 is equal to 4.
Looking at like qualitative insights and then looking at, is this also reflective on our
Translink.
platform?
Correct.
Across different touch points.
Yeah.
Okay, very
And
interesting.
so you form sort of conviction on this hypothesis, and this is the problem that we need to solve. Now at the same time, there's an opportunity area. Now we truly want to be the most preferred e-commerce brand in India, right? For everyone. Now if you have to be for everyone, that means you have to at some point of time be relevant for people like us,
Correct.
like MT1 also, right?
Correct.
So we need to build some excitement and aspiration in the brand.
Right.
So this was the opportunity.
Got it.
And getting the gender bias out was the problem.
I remember you telling me, AP, that you went from a 24% awareness
Yeah.
to a 94%,
93, 94, yeah.
94%, some absurd number
Yeah.
like that, right? First thing, 24%. How do you even measure this baseline?
Essentially, Yudi, what we do is we meet 2,500 people,
Okay.
which is a microcosm of our TAM
Okay.
every month.
Okay.
And we go and we spend 45 minutes with each person.
Okay.
And it's a combination of filling out a survey and one-on-one conversation sometimes. And parallelly, you then gather data on what do they think about Meesho, which is imagery statements.
So the knowing of 24% has jumped to 90+%.
This is 24% sometime in 2021, late 2021.
Okay.
And now we are sitting at 94% total awareness.
Oh wow. So typically like Rebrand will have 3 things, right? You'll have verbal, sonic, visual. Was this Rebrand all 3?
Verbal, not so much.
Okay.
Because I think our tonality was decently set. Visual, absolutely yes.
Yes.
We were calling it respectful evolution. We want to try an incremental evolution, minor tweak,
Correct.
just tooling.
Correct.
We want to try a respectful evolution, which is, hey, let's truly evolve the brand to retain some equity,
Correct.
but then resolve
You
some.
don't want to do Twitter to X.
Exactly. And then, no, we said that, the third
rule is there.
is open.
Open.
We definitely want to do both of these
Right.
because we really believe that what the consumers drew are sacred assets. वहाँ पे ना बहुत equity है.
Equity है.
हम अगर 10-20% awareness पे होते हैं ना,
Correct.
so you can
Yeah.
like do a revolutionary rebrand and then scale it because you're yet to achieve that scale.
Correct.
But we are in the sort of like 10 to 100 scale.
Correct. And you have that equity.
Right? Exactly.
That's so valuable.
Exactly, right? So you don't want to break something.
Yeah.
And especially now comes profitability context, right? So that was the sort of like rational decision, right? Now, when we were working with, we gave them these 3 routes to explore. And they indeed came back with a very credible revolutionary route, which all of us loved, by the way. Like internally, we thought, man, what a good route. Do we even need to test? Let's go. Like all our
One
biases.
of those things where like,
But again, like they reminded me of the bias that kicks in, right? Like so, and then we decided, nahi bro, need to.
correct.
So we went to 700 people and we showed them this thing. Now let's bring back the implicit association.
Right.
We gave them half a second
Okay.
to endorse each of those 5 logos on this question of is this for male, female or both?
Okay.
Jaldi drag karo.
जल्दी track करो.
Right? And all 5 they are dragging.
Correct.
And we have now combined data of 700 people. Now, and we had the original logo in there. Right? Now, if you make a 2x2 UD, how fast did they endorse and how many people endorsed? That this is gender neutral.
Correct.
Right? The pink logo actually came on top left corner.
Correct.
People took a lot of time
Right.
to rationalize it,
Okay.
but they said it's for both.
Oh.
So it's us saying कि हाँ pink है, but you know, like है तो दोनों के लिए ना यार.
Very interesting.
So then they took time and rationalized and did that. This is the highway conversation.
Right.
This is the one where you don't have time to rationalize to look at that billboard, right?
Correct.
So you won't.
You won't, yeah.
Right. So now we got it. Like we said कि अच्छा pink वाले में जो हमारा hypothesis था बिल्कुल सही था.
Correct.
Quantitatively prove हो गया.
Correct.
And then this Jamuni Anam, the new route that we have, that's what we call it internally.
Right.
Lovingly. Right. So the Jamuni Anam came on the top right corner. People endorsed it fast, and a lot of people endorsed it.
Interesting.
Said gender neutral, yes.
There's so much insight behind it, but from the output point of view, from purely someone who has no idea, I think it's like it looks really good. Number one, it's like one. But second is it's always a limitation when profitability, etc., in how much you can deviate from the original brand.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think it is such a beautiful balance.
So like, I'll tell you a story.
Okay.
I keep sharing my work with my parents, right?
Yeah.
So I shared this Rebrand film with my mom and said, "Mummy, हमने ना इस पे 6-7 महीने काम किया ये देखो." And she knows Meesho, right? And like my cousins use Meesho and घर पे सब करते हैं, right? So they said कि अच्छा तुमने पिंक को जामुनी कर दिया, M को बड़ा करके ऊपर रख दिया और मीशो जैसा लिखते थे वैसे ही लिखा.
Correct.
इसमें तुमने 7
में लगा दिया.
यार मम्मी
like you know childhood tears coming.
Exactly.
Can you tell me something when you were doing creative?
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's, I think, no pun intended, but the most amount of creative work is going to be happening in creative. With all the kind of campaigns you folks did. I know you did something in IPL also.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through that thought process?
So creative is always about the messaging.
Correct.
Right. And for our audience, our fundamental criteria of judgment is simplicity. So you have to keep that messaging at a simple but universally translatable level. Now let's see the different messages that we communicated. Right? Meesho's positioning, now if we have to summarize today, I like to summarize it in one line. कि मीशो पे है सब कुछ और हमने सब कुछ सही सही लगाया. Right? So what we are truly about, where we shine, is just the variety of items that you can get.
Correct.
So we started with what attracts people and what is the biggest trigger of sorts. Price was the one. First message was sahi sahi lagaya. And hence, starting with sahi sahi lagaya, we came with an IPL campaign which was called Arey Wah, which is the delight of price.
Acha.
Right? So the creatives were made in a way that you see somebody wearing something new and you inquire कि यार ये कहाँ से लिया क्या है ये, and he says कि यार ये headphone है and ये 150 रुपए में है. And guy was like, अरे वाह, it's like, and again this is something हर language में है. Right? So something that is available in all languages you can quickly translate. And you shoot, you don't dub, you shoot in that language and all those things, and you get that new answer. So that was our IPL campaign.
Got it. I want to understand, like, how do you go about selecting? What is the selection criteria for a celebrity from Meesho's end? Yeah. Okay. Number two is, how do you go and convince them, or like what is that? So convincing obviously is about their brand also commercials. And especially with profitability in mind, how do you structure commercials?
Our only selection criteria was relevance.
How
relevance
big
and credibility.
Yeah.
We knew we are credible.
Right.
Our perception was still getting built.
Correct.
And by sharing equity with the celebs, we wanted to establish ourselves as a credible platform. Right? So that's the value that celebs got on the table. Right? See, on commercial, it's always what's the deliverable or scope put on the table.
Okay.
What is the effort required from both parties, right? Especially for the celebs, how many working hours are we looking at? How many days are we looking at? What is the ongoing market rate of
So it's not just them endorsing, but it's also the effort required on the deliverables.
Oh, yes.
So there's a base price, essentially.
Yes, absolutely.
And then there's like deliverables on top of it.
Yeah.
Do startups have any leverage in terms of commercials, especially, for example, for employees, right?
Yes.
Like the way we are done is like essentially there is a compensation plus stock component. I know in the States, a lot of sports people have started to look at this.
Yeah.
Is it a relevant structure for startups to look at?
It is.
Okay.
Especially now, let's say what a mature celeb selection framework looks like. Right? Probably, hey, if you have value alignment with the seller, you have target audience alignment with them, and then you have a relationship which is deeper than a transaction. You should be like able to call them and say, hey, you know what, we are doing this. Do you mind just tweeting about it? So when the relationship matures to that level, or even if you have initially a vision to take it to that level already, like that conviction is so high upfront, then it totally makes sense.
I think I love it because it's basically short-term compensation versus do we reward them long-term also?
Exactly.
Which is where that thing comes in, and I think it's beautiful.
And imagine like once the weight of endorsement versus the weight of an investor. Right? Just the value is different, no?
Very similar to how you would hire like leadership.
Exactly. What you're doing is essentially hiring for leadership.
Correct.
And when you 5 years down the line, when the celeb looks back and they compare, let's say, two relationships, one was a transactional one and one actually gave you equity upside.
Correct.
If everything goes right, the cash component is suddenly going to look very transactional.
It's going to look puny.
And if it doesn't, it doesn't.
Correct.
I mean, it's
it's a bet. Yeah.
It's a bet.
It's a bet.
And I'm sure like these days, like celebs have teams who are doing equity portfolios for them.
And I think it's a win-win for brand and this thing both.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to understand what are the top challenges that came to you, and rightfully so, from other teams, and what were your learnings and how did you solve for it?
Like I said, the touch points go into thousands, right?
Correct.
The first big challenge, of course, bandwidth prioritization. Because this is a table stakes thing.
Right.
And you always prioritize tech bandwidth, product bandwidth on NMV incrementality.
Correct.
Revenue incrementality, right? Now, in this context, the challenge is to, hey, how do we get enough time from enough people so that, it's seamless. The second big challenge is just PMOing this project. We had a brand team member, Shubhika, lead the whole thing. And just phasing off, hey, because the tech sprint happens here, but the design sprint has to happen only after that. And only when you give me the design, I can code it.
Correct.
And only when this happens will the website be ready.
Correct. So execution perfection needs to be there across all sprints, across all teams, across all the variables.
The Gantt chart looks crazy. But
it's always like stakeholders who have their own KRs to run.
It will. Yeah.
So then how do you get them to prioritize? I'm convinced I have to do it.
Yes.
But now?
This is where I think it always really helps to have strat group alignment on every milestone. Right? So if your CXO table is aligned on the brief.
Correct.
They're aligned on the routes.
Correct.
They're aligned on selecting the right route. They're aligned on executing now. And they're aligned on the execution final deadline. So he said, हमारा बड़ा next campaign जो जा रहा है, वो जुलाई में जा रहा है.
Correct.
TV पे.
Correct.
So उस पे तो जाना ही है. Because that is the builder of awareness of this. So before our next big campaign, everything has to be ready. So that automatically set a deadline. And that automatically set like a Gantt chart backwards from the deadline.
Got it.
Now teams need to find that space, find that bandwidth, come together.
Right.
Because all leadership is saying, yes, we are aligned to this.
Got it. Let's talk about something interesting, which is the Sourav Ganguly thing. The moment you said Sourav Ganguly, मेरे दिमाग में क्या आया? That tweet, right?
The tweet.
Can you explain what happened behind that tweet?
So the idea came actually when we were shooting, right? So our team is sitting and this creative engine is there with us, and all of the team is just jamming, on the set. And like, यार क्या करे? तो हम idea सोच रहे हैं. So we opened Canva. Canva पे हमने ऐसी random एक poster बना के हमने बोला यार हमारा sale का नाम है Mega Blockbuster.
Right.
Name itself is Mega Blockbuster.
Correct.
We have roster of fortunate enough to have this year roster of 9 celebrities, cricketers plus Bolly.
Correct.
Let's just make posters and make it like a movie poster.
Correct.
Just like जब आप जाते हो tier 2 towns या कहीं भी जाते हो तो दीवार पे वो जो hand painted लगे होते हैं.
Correct.
That was how the idea started.
Right.
ठीक है, okay, so we got somebody who does Bollywood posters.
Okay.
And they made 9 posters for 9 celebs.
Correct.
And saying Mega Blockbuster. And then we started publishing it. And then that happened.
Already momentum बन गया है.
हाँ, like Surya Kumar Yadav was going and tweeting ये किस line में आ गए आप?
Correct.
So that is getting lakhs. Like the whole organic loop of these posters were anyway going on.
Correct.
And the Dada's tweet actually came and just fueled fire into it.
Damn. What happened internally when that tweet went and you saw that?
See, this is where a lot of times like this faith in the team and just maturity of, hey, something is human, and if it's a human error, how to navigate it and treat it positively.
Correct.
Instead of saying, hey, how could this happen?
Right.
If that was the starting conversation in the room,
Right.
then it's everybody suddenly on back foot.
Correct, back foot. And then
Right.
they would take it down and like,
Correct.
yeah, it's a
right?
mess. Yeah.
But if the conversation starts with, yeah, this is the fueling organic conversation for us, how do we make it endearing? So we said, okay, you know what, let's bat for Dada. Right? That was the line that everyone in the room got goosebumps. He said, let's bat for Dada. Right? So we put the out key when Dada hits a 6, it's a 6. When Dada miss hits, even then it's a 6. Because for us it's a 6. No?
Yeah.
Like everybody's talking about
Yeah,
pain, like it's a 6 only.
Yeah. It could have been a negative play.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be a much more positive than intended.
So what all of this actually did, no, Yudi, is drive attribution.
Right.
So people otherwise would have remembered something called Mega Blockbuster I saw.
Correct.
Like this was a poster.
Do not mention Meesho. That was like
That actually
was a masterstroke.
ensured that everyone knew that it's a Meesho.
Yeah.
At that time, we clocked insane order.
After it's executed, the conversation goes back to the board.
Yes,
It
absolutely.
is before and after. And I think that's where we are at. Right?
Yeah.
So tell me, before and after, what all has changed for Meesho?
When we exited the rebrand exercise, we went back to the brief. The job to be done was to evolve for gender inclusivity. And we went back to the same 2,500 consumers, showed them the old and the new logo, and asked the same question. And with the new logo now sufficiently popularized, like currently 63% of our TAM knows that, hey, this is our new identity. We asked the same question. And we focused on the cut of users who are non-Meesho users. Do they think differently now? And the gender equality score has actually moved by 10 pp in a span of 2 months.
2 months.
Right? So we know perception level it is getting solved.
That is.
Now, this perception, if you bring it to platform and start to look at data points that if we cut the male average app open frequency, has that changed? And everything on app has also evolved now.
Correct.
Now, nothing is pink on the app.
Correct.
Are the CTRs better? Is the just male funnel even incrementally moving? Right? So that some goodness is there. And we are tracking, some of these things, right? Now, there are things that we discovered.
Okay.
Because we keep tracking metrics and some team came and told us, you know what, after the rebrand, our performance marketing campaign on Facebook is automatically optimizing more for males.
Very interesting. Automatic.
Nobody planned it.
Right.
We didn't plan it.
Facebook's AI is automatically...
Yes, UAC campaign.
Correct.
It has to go to people where installs are getting fetched.
Correct.
Now, why will it suddenly automatically go to more males than it was going before?
This is lovely.
Nobody thought of it and it gave me like these goosebumps कि यार ये तो अलग है, ये तो मैंने सोचा ही नहीं था. And CPI for males is also coming down. Which means that Facebook is having to work a lot lesser. A little bit lesser, not a lot, than it was working before with the old identity. So then this is the quantitative validation of your insight being true.
Lovely.
And the ROI then getting measured back.
Yeah.
And let's just laddering it up to a beautiful perception change and commercial changes. Wala thing, right? So rebranding and the impact of rebranding is never 4D delta. It's never disproportionate, right? Like maybe over a long term, like if 3 years from now we look back and say, had we only stayed with that versus now, then the delta looks really big. But in the short term, it's essentially, you got a new look and feel. Right? So there is some freshness on the brand that is subliminally doing something for your consumers. But actively, hey, the product has to evolve. No? Like if being truly horizontal and being truly gender inclusive is a org level problem, then it starts from the product. And rebranding only did that cherry on top thing that, hey, let me remove this barrier. That was there.
That people are
and now bring the full force of the product.
And let's say if there's a brand leader watching this video, like just walk them through your core learnings.
For me, I think the biggest learning is to be fundamentally user first. A lot of times our frameworks, especially within growth, becomes paisa kaise banana. Right? So if that is the starting point, aapko already bias aa gaya. Any problem that we have taken, any projects that we have taken purely on business objectives, without a lot of consumer confidence, we have seen trouble getting PMF and all those things, right? But anything that starts from here and that can unlock a commercial opportunity because we are providing new value.
Absolutely.
Which is bringing in new revenue. Second is, especially with branding, with marketing, a lot of time we think that there's a lot of ambiguity, a lot of qualitative opinions, a lot of like hypotheses floating around. It's fundamentally important to identify the problem first or identify the opportunity first. And even know that is this a problem or is this an opportunity? Right? And then prioritize. Nobody's perfect, right? Our team has been in situations when we are pursuing, we are chasing something. And we are all excited about it because it seems like it's so good. All the call signals are good, but nobody knows what problem we solve. And the third one for me, I think, is more culture oriented, right? Like, if you're having fun in the team, the campaigns will be better. The output will be better because just the team is loving what they're doing, right? So they know here we are optimizing for this, and we want to have fun here. This is our playground to have fun. And this is our playground where we get sincere and we come back and we measure. We activate our left brain. And then we go and we activate our right brain.
Anything in those engines that you've learned?
One thing that, really helped me, continues to do so, and I encourage my team to also do that, is just cross-pollination.
Can you tell what cross-pollination means?
Sorry, just meaning like taking ideas from others' experiences and bringing it to to our company, right? And I think this is where power of community sort of kicks in, right? Like, for example, we were launching our recent campaign, Sahi Quality, Sahi Price, and we wanted to crack the right media plan for it. So we quickly called Tushar from GrowthX. We were there and we were like, you do IPL is your bread and butter, right? You want to activate mails and in a burst sort. Like you have like 30 days to do it. How do you do this, man? Right? And he broke down the entire framework for us. And for us to simply just pick up those learnings and bring it back, our media plan became so much more strong. So this is, I think, power of community if you're embedded into a few of them, right? I encourage my team to do that. Let's go back to your colleagues. Let's go back to your agency networks. Let's
alumni.
Go back. Yes, alumni.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. It just makes life a lot more easier.
Yeah. And if you have like a platform to do it and openly discuss these things in a safe space, it's really kicking it out of the park.
So much of this rebrand has happened from B2B to B2C, proper B2C. Rebranding it to ensure that you are having the right gender balance inside the app and doing a really good job at that. What's next? What's next for Meesho?
Just in the matrix of our cohorts, right? So we broadly split it into metro tier 1, tier 2, 3, 4, rural, males, females, across age groups. And if you just prepare a heat map of your DOMA, which is top of mind awareness, we have green areas, we have red areas. So the next unlock is to, if we want to be truly horizontal, most preferred e-commerce brand in India, we of course want to make the red, yellows and greens eventually, right? So I think that's where we are headed. We are profitable as well now. Lot of energy in the company to move in that direction. We have new initiatives in form of Meesho Mall, Meesho Gold coming in. So brands are hopping on the platform.
Which is all the fundamental set for the after rebranding, right?
Exactly.
If you didn't have this, then the new brands coming in are going to have the same challenge.
Yes. So that barrier is now out of the way.
Correct.
Right. So let's go full horizontal, full gender inclusive. But we know the next horizon is looking at tier 1 towns, looking at upgrading our consumers who are looking for affordable brands. Going after and providing more value to males in general.
If like the founder, I'm watching this, should I be thinking about brand when I'm becoming like a Meesho? Or should I start earlier? When should I start thinking about brand?
Let's take an analogy, right? Let's say if I am starting my own boutique store, or I'm starting like a boutique restaurant, and I know that I want to serve, let's say, South Indian cuisine. And I want it to be explicitly known that I'm a South Indian restaurant. I want to be explicitly known that I'm a QSR. All of this I'm thinking product, by the way. Right. And the moment somebody who starts to think creative on that side is already thinking of brand. Right. So yeah, there's a reason they call it that. Right. And the reason it's called cafe also. Right. So they want you to know, hey, it's not a fine dine place. So that is a brand in itself. Now, if we are not actively thinking about it, the subtle cues that you're giving up front, there are chances of them falling either neutral territory or sometimes worse.
Negative,
Correct.
It's like seeds, right? You're planting seeds.
And you know what? I have a hypothesis that why founders don't think of brand early on is what you said is right, is that everybody thinks that brand is expensive.
Right.
While actually it is not.
Thoughtful thinking is not expensive.
Thoughtful thinking is not expensive, no? Like there are insane designers out there who are happy to intern. There are insane strategists out there. You can always find these you know, people, just have breakfast dates with them.
Correct.
Talk to them.
Yeah.
Introduce your product.
Absolutely.
Say, hey, you know what? I don't know nothing about brand, you know, but this is my product.
Correct.
I'm a South Indian restaurant. I want to be QSR.
Correct.
What do you think? You know, and they will give you inputs,
Right.
which will spark your thinking in that direction. Distribution.
I believe that spend is amplification of brand, but
Exactly.
thinking about brand is not
That's
expensive.
a very small spend.
Yeah. I also believe, by the way, at Meesho's scale and size, a rebranding wouldn't have been possible
Yeah.
if they wouldn't have had the seeds of brand, the culture of smaller sets.
Yes.
It's
Absolutely.
not easy to rebrand a
Yeah.
large company in a profit-first market.
Yes. We spoke to one lady called Kinjal. She is from Hisar in Haryana.
Okay.
And I'm in one-on-one conversation, face-to-face, sitting in front of her.
Okay.
Asking, hey, do you love Meesho? She's like, yeah, I shop from Meesho. I like Meesho. Okay, so what do you like? What is Meesho a place like? If Meesho is a place, what would it be like? Right? And she said, I think it's like a community space. Here it's like this local community market that I go to where everybody knows everyone.
Interesting.
Nobody's, you know, like trying out there to like, you know, make a buck from you, which
Loot
is
you.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And that was the association that she had, like pop, color variety,
So much
like
trust.
very well lit market. I know everyone, very comfortable to navigate, so on, right?
It's going to happen a lot more in most startups, and I do want to believe that brand is going to be a central conversation
Yeah.
for any business that wants to think long term.
Yeah.
Because brand is long term. And as
Yeah.
startups start thinking more about sustenance, more building long-term profitable companies, brand is going to be the core pillar.
I think for founders, right, especially people or anyone who's thinking about brand out there, right, I don't think like we treat it too preciously. Like this journey about your brand's identity and not just visuals, the core, what your brand stands for, also goes through evolution as your company grows.
Correct.
And it's okay.
It's okay.